Strickland and Khamzat fight is going to be very interesting. Strickland is not an easy guy to take down, and he's not an easy guy to hold down, and he's a very difficult guy to hit on his feet. And he's got a super awkward style early on in the fight, whether or not Strickland can avoid the takedown and whether or not Khamzat can hit him and whether or not he can avoid getting hit, because Strickland will set some traps. He's sneaky with his striking.
It's so hard to even think anybody could stop Khamzat right now at anything.
Between now and the night that Sean Strickland won his last fight and called for Chimaev. And Chimaev went to the media and said, I'll fight him. Now, we were never bullish on that over here, Bad Guy Inc. We loved the idea. We supported the idea. We just understood, because it had been told in the media since mid-October of last year, that it was going to be Imanov. I thought there was a very good argument that Strickland get that fight, considering Strickland.
Hold up, fight fans. Did you catch that bombshell? Sean Strickland just issued a challenge to Khamzat Chimaev, and Chimaev accepted, throwing the entire middleweight division into disarray. Because here's the kicker, everyone behind the scenes believed Ikram Aliskerov, not Chimaev, was next in line. This isn't merely a fight announcement, it's a tectonic shift within the UFC, a complete rewriting of the script that was supposedly set in stone. What does this dramatic reversal reveal about the true hierarchy of the 185-pound landscape? And how will it impact the careers hanging in the balance? Prepare for revelations that will shatter your initial perceptions of this unexpected matchup.
Initial perception of this fight is completely, utterly wrong.
Beat Imanov in head-to-head competition. Imanov's last loss was to top-ranked former champion Sean Strickland. I think that's hard to get around. I think it's a good argument for Sean, but I also thought that we were probably going in circles because Imanov already had the fight and it just had not been announced. And not only did I believe he had the fight, like as secondary evidence, he had no other fight. He was not building in a different direction. No other athlete able to look at Imanov and look where he's at in the rankings and look how close he is to a title shot.
The analyst underscores a critical point. Sean Strickland undeniably defeated Ikram Aliskerov in their previous head-to-head encounter. This irrefutable victory provides Strickland with a potent claim for any contest, especially against a contender Aliskerov himself was slated to face. Furthermore, the whispers from the locker room carry immense weight. The lack of fighters actively challenging a top-tier athlete like Aliskerov strongly implies inside knowledge, suggesting Aliskerov was indeed being prepared for a significant upcoming bout. This revelation adds layers of intrigue, prompting us to question whether Chimaev was a mere contingency, or if a more complex narrative lies beneath this abrupt scheduling change.
Backup plan, or was there more to this sudden switch than meets the eye?
And usually when that happens, it's because the locker room got some inside scoop, and they've been sworn to secrecy, but Imanov is off the table, in this case, gonna fight Chimaev. It's not what happened. So what is the difference? What changed? Did they go for a different fight? I mean, we keep hearing these lockdown rumors on Chimaev. We keep hearing that he's got visa issues and that he can't get about. And if they wanted to fight him in the U.S., specifically the U.S., he can't get about. But guys, it was last week through Instagram that training footage of Chimaev at the training lab was taking place.
Intriguingly, while rumors of Khamzat Chimaev's persistent visa complications and inability to compete in the U.S. circulated, creating an air of uncertainty around his fight future, footage suddenly surfaced of him actively training right here in America. The locker room consensus was that Aliskerov was unavailable, making Chimaev's sudden emergence even more perplexing. This isn't a minor discrepancy. It completely dismantles the narrative of his unavailability. It forces us to reconsider whether the visa issues were a convenient pretense, perhaps concealing different objectives, or if it was a calculated strategic misdirection orchestrated by Chimaev's team or the UFC itself.
And his team.
Speculating, hey, look, he doesn't actually want to fight Pereira or have heat with Pereira per se. He has heat with the 205-pound champion because he would like to be the 205-pound champion, because he would like to get out of 185 because his body has just grown. Okay, fine. I mean, that's a reasonable story that after being put out was not countered by Chimaev and his team. Usually, doesn't make it so, but usually when you're doing your detective work, if something gets said about a top guy that is not accurate, the top guy and or team will respond to correct the record. That never happened.
This segment strongly reinforces a growing suspicion. Khamzat Chimaev's ultimate aspirations may transcend the middleweight division entirely. His consistent call-outs targeting Alex Pereira at 205 pounds, coupled with the theory that he has simply outgrown the 185-pound limit, seem perfectly logical. Even more telling is the complete absence of any counter-narrative from Chimaev's camp. In the high-stakes world of the UFC, any false rumor about a top-ranked fighter is swiftly debunked by their team. Their silence, in this instance, speaks volumes, powerfully suggesting Chimaev is indeed setting his sights on light heavyweight gold, which only deepens the intrigue surrounding his current pit stop at 185 pounds against Strickland.
185 against Strickland, even more intriguing.
Did you guys see the odds? My partners, right now, DraftKings. 6-1. 6-1 is what they are favoring Chimaev to beat Strickland. 2-1, when the fight opened, Chimaev versus Dricus. When that bell rang, they were 2-1. 6-1 is what Izzy Adesanya was favored the night he fought Sean Strickland.
Wait, did you just catch those betting odds? Khamzat Chimaev is a staggering 6-1 favorite over Sean Strickland. Let that sink in. 6-1. This is the identical, eye-watering figure Israel Adesanya commanded against Strickland in their memorable bout. This isn't merely the genesis of an underdog narrative, it's a direct affront to conventional wisdom. The betting lines are unequivocally projecting a blowout, virtually dismissing Strickland's chances altogether. But what if these seemingly insurmountable odds are a cleverly laid trap? What if the bookmakers and the legions of fans buying into them are overlooking a critical factor that could ignite one of the most monumental upsets of the year at UFC 328?
3-1 is what Islam was the night that he beat Charles Oliveira, right? If you remember that point in time, nobody believed that Islam wasn't walking out there with the belt. Nobody believed that Charles had what it took to stand up to Islam. And with that said, it got to 3-1. So 3-1 doesn't just represent a confidence, it's a confidence in a domination. 3-1 is essentially saying, our guy, our 3-1 favorite, is going to finish your guy. This is 6-1. This is 6.
The sheer magnitude of these 6-1 odds is further underscored by a comparison to a fight with a common opponent. Islam Makhachev versus Charles Oliveira, where Islam was a 3-1 favorite. Even at 3-1, the expectation was a near-certain dominant victory. Now we're discussing 6-1. This isn't just a display of confidence. It's an outright anticipation of absolute total domination, a conviction that Chimaev will dispatch Strickland without even breaking a sweat. It paints a picture where the betting public perceives no conceivable route to victory for Sean, envisioning a thoroughly one-sided beatdown. Yet, history, particularly within the unpredictable octagon of the UFC, possesses a peculiar knack for shattering such seemingly unshakable certainties.
Making these certainties crumble.
Common opponent being Kamaru Usman, who came out and said, I think Sean Strickland can beat him. And Kamaru Usman thinks that Chimaev is great. He just said that Strickland can beat him. He said, you know, when you start fighting him, you think he's a wrestler. And you don't have to worry that he's going to take you down, but his defense is that of a wrestler. George Masvidal comes out and does an interview. George, who just saw Sean training at the American Top Team, said the exact same thing about the takedown defense.
This is precisely where the perceived invincibility of those betting odds begins to crumble. When you hear elite fighters like Kamaru Usman, who has shared the cage with Chimaev, and Jorge Masvidal, a seasoned veteran intimately familiar with Strickland's training, both independently highlight Sean's exceptional takedown defense, you absolutely have to pay attention. Usman's keen insight, noting how Chimaev often misleads opponents into believing he's solely a wrestler before unleashing striking, is crucial. More importantly, both experts converge on the point that Strickland's defensive grappling operates on a profoundly different tier. This isn't mere speculation. It's high-level insider analysis from individuals who genuinely understand the intricate mechanics of thwarting a formidable grappler.
Their analysis from guys who know what it takes to stop a powerful grappler like Boris.
And that seems to be the big question when you're fighting Chimaev. Like, before we get into resumes, who's ranked, who should be there, when we come down to what's the guy that possesses the skill set where we can close our eyes and make believe that Chimaev could get beat, we have to first be able to convince ourselves that that guy possesses superior takedown defense to the excellent offense takedown abilities of Chimaev. I I think Strickland's that guy. I think they found the right guy.
The speaker pinpointed the critical element perfectly. The ultimate question surrounding Chimaev isn't his striking, but his takedown defense. Can an opponent withstand his relentless pressure? Can they consistently remain upright and force him to fight on their terms? According to expert analysis, the answer for Sean Strickland is a resounding yes. If Strickland genuinely possesses a superior takedown defense capable of nullifying Chimaev's formidable offense, then the very foundation supporting those astronomical 6-1 odds disintegrates. This suggests bookmakers might be drastically overestimating Chimaev's ability to dictate the fight and severely underestimating Strickland's unique and specialized skill set.
Imanov's in a different spot. Imanov deserves that title shot. And I realize the hypocrisy that sounds because I am pushing for Sean, but I'm pushing for Sean because Sean beat him head to head. I just think that's a hard thing to ignore. So now what do you do with Imanov? And by the way, when you elect to do whatever you're going to do with Imanov, can we all agree that that is the number one contendership? Because no, I don't think that we're going to get that guarantee. I think a backup role is very important. I think a backup role is needed. I think it would be wise if Imanov got that spot, but today I feel for him.
This brings us back to the inherent human element often overshadowed in the glitz of main events. While our focus shifts to the headliners, the profound ripple effect on fighters like Ikram Aliskerov is undeniable. The argument that Aliskerov deserved a title opportunity holds significant merit, especially given his prior victory over Strickland. This entire scenario has plunged the middleweight title picture into utter chaos. Aliskerov was essentially pulled from a fight he was reportedly promised, creating immense mental and professional challenges. It starkly illuminates the brutal reality of the fight business, where promises can be shattered and well-earned opportunities snatched away, leaving a deserving contender in a truly unenviable position.